Hi, Acadiana. Meteorologist Dave Baker here on a Friday, and we got some storms in the area. A little cloudy out there. Temperatures have come down due to the rain, but unfortunately, the dew points have come up, so our heat index is sky high, even with the clouds and the rain out there. Pretty good coverage of rain, too, and we're going to see a little bit more action out in the tropics, too, here. We've got a lot to talk about. One hurricane that's still out there, but it's kind of on its way out, but we've got a number of other disturbances that are out there. So pretty likely we're going to have at least one tropical depression, I think, as we head into the weekend. And fortunately, none of that is going to be affecting the Gulf Coast this time around. Hi, Rocky. Good to see you on a Friday afternoon. Anyway, we're looking at 85 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Again, there is a little bit of light rain here and there. Feels more like 97 with that dew point now up to 78, so the humidity up there. Not much of a breeze out of the north at 6, pressure 29.94. We can see here on the radar quite a bit of rain, and it is heavy at times there, and it's been kind of persistent over that area there. Right around the 190 corridor here. Go ahead and put that into motion one more time. You see up there from Kinder over toward Basile and northern parts of Jeff Davis Parish. It was just kind of hanging on there for a while. Then an outflow boundary coming in from the offshore waters, sparking up some new action there along the I-10 corridor. So if you've got some travel plans west of Crowley, heading over toward the Texas state line, you are going to have some issues going in that direction. Let's check out and see what we got going on east of us, though. And doesn't look quite as bad. Let's go ahead and stop that there so we can just get the radar. There's the door. There we go. And you can see spotty showers as you go a little bit farther over toward the east, toward the capital city, and over to the North Shore areas. But you've got quite a bit of rain on the South Shore this time around from New Orleans southward to the coast, and that will continue on as we head into the afternoon. So if you've got some travel plans, you are going to be dealing with some of those showers, some thunderstorms. We can see where there's a little bit of rain on a couple of our traffic cams here. They had a pretty good downpour. There it is there at Ambassador Caffrey, and also some light rain over at the I-10 and I-49. Not bad up in Opelousas and Alexandria. Still a little bit of sunshine there. And what we've got is a frontal boundary that's kind of draped its way right along the Gulf Coast. There's plenty of tropical moisture south of that front, and then things are a little bit drier farther inland, getting up to around the Shreveport area. But over the next couple of days, that frontal boundary is going to kind of linger right along the coast, and today we'll see pretty widespread showers and thunderstorms across the Acadiana region, especially southwestern portions of Louisiana. And then tomorrow, as that front sags along the coast, I think our coastal parishes will have a better chance for scattered afternoon thunderstorms. And then on Sunday, I think that front might sag far enough to the south that we may feel at least a taste of some lower humidity. But while that front is out there, there's going to be the scattered showers and thunderstorms. It just kind of lingers right about there. But we'll watch that. Occasionally you get a front that stalls out in the offshore waters, and sometimes you get a low pressure area to develop along that. And yes, occasionally those can become tropical too. Not seeing that in any of the models right now, but it is one of those scenarios that we just kind of look out for throughout the hurricane season. Gorgeous day over at Panama City Beach, although you can see the thunderstorms out in the offshore waters. Nice day at Orange Beach as well. Further to the west, Dauphin Island, again, some thunderstorms out in the offshore waters, and you can still see some thunderstorms in the offshore waters there south of Galveston as well. So that tour of the northern Gulf Coast, not too bad. Plenty to talk about out in the Atlantic. We've got Hurricane Erin that's transitioning to a non-tropical low as it moves into the colder waters of the Atlantic. We've got disturbance 90L, which is the red X there north of the Leeward Islands. That's going to be turning northward, and I think it's got a pretty good chance of becoming a tropical depression or even a tropical storm. Bermuda dodging the bullet with Erin. Don't know if they're going to be able to do that with this next disturbance. Then we've got 99L, which is the orange X out in the central part of the Atlantic. It's got a little potential here for a couple of days. Then once it gets into the Caribbean, conditions not as favorable for development. So as we've been saying, 99L is going to have to get its act together here in the next couple of days, and then it's going to be suffering a little bit more as it gets a little bit closer to the island. So let's go ahead and start with Hurricane Erin. And again, Erin is it's transitioning to what we call a extratropical system. So it no longer has the tropical characteristics, and rather than having its own heat engine, it's more being controlled and strengthened by some of the forces that are out and around the outside of the storm. So we'll be seeing that moving out into the northern part of the Atlantic. The next advisory won't come down until 4 o'clock this afternoon, as all of the watches and warnings have been dropped. So updates now come every 6 hours on Hurricane Erin. But as you can see, the forecast gets it to be extratropical sometime tonight, and then staying an extratropical system, but hurricane force as it moves out into the middle part of the Atlantic. No big disagreements there on the models, but it does appear maybe about 3 or 4 days from now, we'll see this dropping down to a tropical storm or something less than that, at least on the power of the system. It will be an extratropical low pressure area. Down in the Central American region, we've got some thunderstorms over Nicaragua and right there in the coastal areas of Costa Rica and parts of Panama, but nothing to worry about there. Then we've got disturbance 90L. You can see that just to the northeast of Puerto Rico. Go ahead and put a little circle around it so we know what we're looking at here. It's this particular area right about there where we've got a low pressure area. It's an actual disturbance, and it is going to be traveling off toward the north over the next couple of days, and most of the computer models are pretty much in agreement with a northward and then getting caught in the westerlies. But this time around, it's going to be really, really close to Bermuda, and if I can see it well enough here, it looks like Bermuda on the map is right about in there. So Bermuda could possibly dodge a bullet once again, but I know those folks are going to be watching it closely, as they will be very close to the crosshairs of what this could possibly be our next name system. Intensity guidance for this shows it saying below tropical depression strength at least for 24 hours, and then maybe having a chance here over the course of the weekend. Most of the models go strong tropical storm, and a few of them cut their way up above Category 1 hurricane. So we could see a named storm here over the course of the weekend. Middle part of the Atlantic is where we have 99L, and 99L, for reference, is going to be this particular storm way out here in the middle part of the Atlantic. Then you got another tropical wave that's kind of working its way off the African coast. So when you look at everything together, the entire family, you've got Erin up to the north, 90L, which is north of the Virgin Islands, 99L, which we're going to talk about the track of that one here in a minute, and then a couple of more tropical waves that are over in Africa, and those will be making their way out into the waters of the Atlantic. So 99L earlier in the week was looking like this was going to be the player of the number of systems that we're looking at, and it doesn't look like quite as much of a player compared to what 90L is right now, but it still has a chance. And again, over the course of the week, a lot of our hurricane models kind of give up on this system after about 3 or 4 days, which is why you see the tracks westward toward the Caribbean, but then you don't see anything going really deep into the Caribbean, or maybe even a southern turn into northern parts of Venezuela. And the intensity forecasts on this one, not really too exciting here. Looks like it'll stay a tropical wave, maybe a tropical depression here over the next couple of days, and then beyond that, there's some models that string it up a little bit or stir it up a little bit stronger there. But this is just one we're going to have to watch. I have a feeling this is going to perhaps become something close to a tropical depression and then kind of open back up as a wave as it moves into the Windward Islands. And then once it gets into the Caribbean, we'll have to kind of see what the remnants of that does, because there's a lot of heat content and some very warm waters out over the southern part or the northern part of the Caribbean. And if this tropical wave were to move in that direction, it could be affected by some of that. I'm also going to show you where Erin kind of cooled some of the waters as well over the western portion of the Atlantic. So let's just go through our deterministic models here. The Euro, again, very clearly you can see where Erin is. The other two disturbances really aren't showing up a whole lot on the map. And as I push that forward, it looks like 90L, you see there in the middle part of the Atlantic, that 1013, 1014 kind of rotating around. Doesn't last very long according to the Euro, and the Euro basically has nothing for the other tropical wave that's in the middle part of the Atlantic. A couple of those waves that come off Africa might be a bit of a trough, but really the Euro stays very quiet. And one of the things I really want you to notice is the Gulf. There's nothing on the map there for the Gulf, and this is, I'm going out beyond 10 days, which is usually a little bit farther out than I like to go, but really just to look for anything, there's not a whole lot. That doesn't mean that nothing's going to fire up here in the next couple of days, but at least on some of these long-range models, and including the GFS, Again, not too turned on by 90 or 99L. Maybe 90L getting to spin into something over the central part of the Atlantic, but 99L coming through the Caribbean, maybe a little extra wind, maybe a little extra moisture there, but it just doesn't seem to go anywhere. And even going all the way out into through the first week in September, you could see the Gulf, according to the GFS, basically stays clean of any action. That's exactly the way we want to see it. Let's roll over to the Canadian just for fun. You got Erin rotating around. It looks like 99L might have a chance for a little while before getting to the Leeward Islands. 90L could possibly strengthen and move into the central Atlantic, but again, both of them kind of fizzle out. And as we take it all the way out the 10 days, I'm not seeing anything heading over toward the Gulf waters. Again, great news. We can relax a little bit over the weekend without having to worry about anything coming in our direction. And then finally, the icon, we've got more of that wave drifting westward. Again, not showing a lot of development, which is unusual because the icon model likes to develop just about every tropical wave that comes over the waters. But even going out 7 days, maybe a little bit of a low pressure area there south of Jamaica, which would be the leftover of that wave that's over the central Atlantic right now. And then it looks like it might try to do something a little more interesting farther down the road. This is taking us a little over a week from today, but it's the only model that's showing anything coming toward the Gulf waters. So I wouldn't be too excited about anything coming in our direction here, at least for the next week to 10 days, which of course is great news for us that live here along the Gulf Coast. Part of the reason why I'm a little more concerned about something moving over the northern part of the Caribbean are the warm waters there. All the waters are getting up into the 85 to 90 degree range. But I also wanted to point out that the waters cooled just a little bit out here. That's where Hurricane Erin went through, so was actually able to churn up some colder waters from below the surface of the ocean. Now, this is only representing above or below normal for this time of the year. So even though the water temperatures are slightly below normal, they're still warm enough to support tropical weather, even if something new were to go north of Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic or just east of the Bahamas there. Even if it went through that little cooler eddy of water, the surface temperatures are still warm enough to be able to support tropical type of conditions. And as I said, it's that tropical cyclone heat potential that I'm most concerned with, especially there over the far western Caribbean. So as long as we don't have any waves coming across in this particular area, I feel pretty safe, because if we were to have something that were going to kind of work its way into the Caribbean, I'd be very concerned, especially because of these very warm waters and that high heat content. You can get a tropical depression or a tropical wave that can whip up into a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane in a very short period of time if you've got that high heat content and you've also got just the right atmospheric conditions. Fortunately, looking at the Eurotropical Formation forecast for next week, starting Monday of next week and going until Monday the 1st of September, it isn't showing a whole lot of action over much of the Gulf and really the northern Caribbean either. So might have another front coming off the East Coast that could generate a low pressure area near the mid-Atlantic states. But this is very, very a good looking map when you don't have anything in this area during the peak of the hurricane season. Let's hope that holds. That does kind of follow along with the global tropics hazard outlook for next week. And then for week 3, maybe a little bit of action there, Western Caribbean, southern part of the Bay of Campeche. But 3 weeks is pretty far out, and there will be significant changes in the forecast between now and then. But that is some promising news here for the northern Gulf Coast. Let's hope this holds, because we really don't want to see anything coming in our direction. Did want to point out, though, that today is August the 22nd, and usually about this time we've had 5 named storms, and we just had Hurricane Erin, which was our 5th named storm. We've only got 1 hurricane under our belt, but we usually get the second one up around August the 26th, so we're still a little bit behind schedule on hurricanes. And as far as major hurricanes, of course, Erin became a Category 5 there for a while, and usually we don't see our first major hurricane until the 1st of September, so a little bit ahead of schedule when it comes to tropical development. And don't forget, September is the busiest month, and basically the entire Atlantic basin is open for business, and that's why we get a little more concerned this time of the year, because there's just a lot more tropical waves and there's a lot more potential for something to develop into a tropical system. But fortunately, at least for the weekend, we have nothing to worry about here along the northern Gulf Coast. Well, I hope you enjoy Let's Talk Tropics. If you do, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on those notifications too, and don't forget you can hear my forecasts on Big 102.1, Planet Radio 106.7, and Freedom 95.1. Also, please follow my social media pages both on Facebook and X for other updates in between. And thanks to everyone who's become a subscriber to Acadiana Weather Today right here on YouTube. I'm meteorologist Dave Baker. Hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.